I'm just going to talk briefly on my approach to color grading in Final Cut 10. A couple friends of mine who are learning Final Cut have asked me for my opinion and my thoughts. So instead of typing up a big long email, I figured it'd be a lot easier to just show it in person in this video, and hopefully others out there can get some value from it too. So to get started, Control Command 1 hides the browser, and Command 7 is going to open the video scopes, which I want. And then up in the inspector here, I can click on this Planckian locus icon, and that brings up my color controls. This color board is kind of the OG color control in Final Cut 10. It's pretty straightforward. You have 3 little pucks, 4 actually. You have your master, shadows, midtones, and highlights. So I'm going to start by setting my exposure. Drag down on the shadows a bit. Now nothing in this shot is like perfectly black, so I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom, but I'll drag it down a little bit, and I'll bring my highlights up. Again, nothing's perfectly white in this shot. Everything's kind of contained. That seems like a reasonable range for me. Midtones, I'm going to leave them basically where they are. Next is saturation. I'm going to boost my sat quite a bit. I mean, that looks pretty good. I'm getting a nice natural looking image. It's fairly pleasing. So that's nice. My color balance was pretty much bang on. Maybe I could warm this up. Let's see if I warm this up just a touch. That looks all right. That looks pretty good. If I want it to have a friendlier, warmer feel, it's not a bad looking image. But we can take this a lot further. So next thing I'm going to do is go to my color curves. And maybe I want to just bring down my shadows without clipping, but I just want it a little bit punchier. Adjust my mids a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to bring up my highlights here. I like the little extra punch it gives. Sometimes I'll go the opposite way if I want it to have a little bit of an HDR feel and hold those highlights, but here, yeah, I want it to get a little more definition in the flower and pop that. So that looks nice. We can also go in, if we want to style it up and put some cool tones in the shadows. That doesn't look too bad. I'm going to just drag down on my reds a little bit in the shadow. And I just quite like that. So this is looking better still. So there's without my curves adjustment and my curves adjustment back on. And of course, if we want to dial it, part of the way back, we can do that. Now, so this looks reasonable, but I think I want it to be more saturated. So we could either add another color board, but in this case, this might not be best practice, but I'm going to add color wheels. People coming from Premiere or Resolve or Final Cut 7 or Avid will be more familiar with these. It might look a little bit more normal compared to the color board. Highlights, midtones, shadows, and a master control. It's pretty straightforward. Then there's temperature and tint controls, as well as a hue shift. I'm going to go up to this master. I'm just going to saturate it a little bit more, make it a little punchier. That looks pretty good. So from here, I want to add some shape and attention to the flower. So I'm going to add another color wheels. And I'm going to add a shape mask. Drag it, center it, adjust the feathering. And now you have inside and outside controls for this mask. So if you're in the inside tab, everything you do on the wheels will take effect inside the color mask. Now, if I hit the outside, everything that I do is going to happen on the outside of the color mask. Unlike DaVinci Resolve, this is very much like how Baselight is set up to grade. On one effect layer, you can control both the inside and the outside grades, which comes in very handy quite often. So that's something I really like about the color tools in Final Cut. Now, we have this inside mask, so I'm just going to add a little more contrast to this. And maybe a touch of saturation. Then we go outside the mask. This is where we're going to do more work. I'm going to bring the levels down a bit. And I'm just going to bring my shadows up a touch. Kind of helps hide the mask, I find. And highlights can come down. Midtones, just have a little play, maybe bring it up a touch. Another little tip, if I go down here, it shows all my masks. So if I click on this, it'll hide it in the on-screen control. So now I can just look at my image and grade away, not be distracted by the lines on the viewer. So that looks pretty good. I might add just a touch of coolness to the outside here. Again, just to bring your attention more and more to the center of this flower. So that looks pretty good. I can go down to my mix on this control if I want to dial it back a little bit if I think I've gone too far. But I think that looks pretty nice. Now if I want to go in and further refine any of these hues, say this green, the leaf there, I want to refine it and make it a little bit more true green instead of that warmish color. I can go in and I can take my hue versus hue control and sample it here. So that's really, we think of it as green, but it's really yellow. So maybe I want this more shifted towards a truer, deeper green. So we could do something like that. And maybe increase the roll off. And now I've got these nice vibrant green leaves. And maybe the saturation's a little extreme, so I'll just dial it. Again, use my hue versus hue, dial the saturation back. You want it to be a little more pastel color. So there you go. Now this green has a nice tone to it. And I can disable this, re-enable it. Subtle difference, but so this looks pretty good. I've got a mask, I've got multiple layers of grades here. And if I disable this all, here's the before, here's the after. So that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with where that's ended up. Another thing you can do, if you have various, say a film LUT or other look LUTs you really like, you can go down to the effects browser here, drag a custom LUT onto the image. I really like this film emulation LUT. I use it on a lot of my work. And again, you can adjust the strength, so I don't want it full strength. We've already done a bunch of work underneath it. So this looks pretty good to just tie it in, give it a little bit of a filmic feel. And there you have it. So I'll go back and just disable various effects and re-enable them so you can see where we come from. So just a base correction color board, some color curves to push it a little further, color wheels to add some saturation, some more color wheels to add focus to the image, hue versus hue and hue versus sat curves just to fine-tune this green color and the tone of the leaf, and then a LUT on top of that to tie together a bit more of a filmic look. And then you can take this, copy it, and say if you have a similar shot, you can Shift Command V, and then you can paste in attributes, paste it, and then that can give you a good starting point to move onto your next shot and have the same effects applied. And now we have this little sequence that's all nicely graded. Of course, each shot here is a little bit different. So, for example, this one's pretty warm. I might want to go in and just dial this back a touch. And then now it matches a little nicer. So there you go. That's basically my process for grading in Final Cut 10. So hopefully you found this helpful. Feel free to share, comment, subscribe. I'm going to try to do some more of these. Again, answering questions that people have asked me as they learn Final Cut. And so maybe it can help you as well. Thanks for watching.